the King of need of nothing. Empty-handed I rejoice. You deserve the greater glory. Overcome with joy I sit. You're a good and gracious King. You're a good and gracious King.
Amen. Today we're gonna be listening to a few people sharing this morning about what inspires them in their walk with God, and so may this song be our prayer today, that God would draw close to Him and that we would want Him to be in our lives.
Draw me close to you. Never let me go. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. You're all I want. You're all I've ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. No one else will do. 'Cause nothing else could take your place. To feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find a way. Bring me back to you. You're all I want. You're all
practical or possible in our society today. How do we make altars to God now? What is an altar anyway? In this book, the author has written about 12 spiritual practices, you could say rituals or activities or altars, that help develop an awareness or an encounter with the Spirit of God. The 12 practices include things like waking up to God, being aware of God, or encountering others, which would be community, or living with purpose, or another one would be being in the presence of God, like a prayer time. I've chosen to just talk to you about 2 of them. 12 is a lot. And the first one that I found for me was the practice of paying attention, which is reverence. By definition, reverence is the recognition of something greater than self, something that is beyond human creation or control. Reverence stands in awe of something that dwarfs the self, that allows human beings the sense of the full extent of our limits, so that we may begin to see one another in more reverently as well. Reverence may take all kinds of forms, depending on what it is that awakens awe in you. And we heard about that in the children's story. There was a lot of awe and reverence in what Shanti talked about. The author says, the easiest practice of reverence I know is simply to sit down somewhere, outside preferably, near a body of water, and pay attention for 20 minutes. What excites awe in your life? The next one, if I have papers here. The next one that really hit me was the one called the practice of saying no. Sounds interesting, huh? And she relates that to the Sabbath. This title of practice caught my attention immediately because in our society, it is the yes person who gets ahead, right? It's the yes person that goes for the adventure. I have actually been guilty, or maybe not guilty, of writing something like that in my journal. I want to be a yes person. I want adventure. I want success. I want friends. I want to be positive. But saying no isn't always negative. I have a friend who's very good at saying no, and she's often been criticized for that. But as I've developed my relationship with her, and an admiration for her because she knows how to keep her life in balance. In this chapter, I loved how Barbara Brown Taylor uses the Sabbath as an example of a practice of saying no. That it's a no in a way that brings balance, that shuts out the noise and distractions of our environment and provides a focused time with God. Isn't that what Sabbath is about? Anyway, I don't remember how long I've had this book, maybe a few years, but I find myself coming back to it over and over again when I need renewal and inspiration. The spiritual practices help me live with intention. The spiritual practices in this book help me remember to discover the sacred in the small things that I do and see. You can discover altars everywhere you go, in nearly everything you do. Live with purpose, pay attention, slow down, and practice reverence.
Imagine that you're going on a trip with me and my husband. We actually are, and then we want to, since we're there, why not rent a car and travel over to see Quebec, the city of Quebec, and then go on forward to see the Gaspé Peninsula, which is this peninsula, kind of a round peninsula that sticks off onto the east part of Canada. And it has very beautiful grass country villages along the waterfront. As we're going from Montreal past Quebec City, we are traveling along the St. Lawrence River on the south side of the river and looking at all those towns, and then around the point of the Gaspé Peninsula, which has a very, not Morro Bay rock, but a very jagged, tall, wide rock that everybody needs to go see. And if you're really lucky, you can stay in a motel right there near the rock. So we've done that. And now we're on the south part of the peninsula. We're heading back towards the airport in Montreal. But we find, this is actually an Easter weekend, and we find this place in a remote place where we're staying a while. New Carlisle probably tells you that those people, their bay has big, and then Jesus says strange things like, I'm gonna suffer, I'm gonna be rejected, I'm gonna be killed, I'm going to be raised again on the third day. So all of that is very strange. Jesus had told them, don't tell anybody about this Christ name. That's really not good. But then another conversation, they're together, and Jesus says, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, and whoever will lose his life for me will save it. What a strange saying. Jesus talking about the cross, a horrible name. It's almost like a bad word. I can't believe that any of the ones that heard him say that really paid much attention, because